is this? Tabletop Island, huh? Let's see what this is all about.
Rabbit season! Duck season! Rabbit season! Duck season! Little does he realize that I have on my disintegration-proof vest. You may fire when ready, Grizzly. Little putty cat. Season. Rabbit season!
Not that away, you darn galoot!
What else did your daddy give you for Christmas?
Please, sir, do not interrupt my chain of thought. I'm a busy Martian. Not angry, just terribly, terribly hurt.
That's all, folks.
Welcome to Tabletop Island. I'm Bernardo, your host, and today we're going to be talking about the vintage board game, Looney Tunes Smush Em game. I am a big fan of this. This came out in 1994, and it is such a unique Play-Doh game. Let me explain. So much like the other Play-Doh games that you've seen thus far, when you smush the pieces, they stay on the board, and moving forward kind of becomes easier because there's so many spots you can skip over. This game, this is not the case, which is one of the few games that I've seen that doesn't have this as one of the game mechanics. Now, there are a lot of games, it feels, that are built into this game. You have a few. So the first one, you're going through the door, you must, with your fingers, smush it under the door and slide it through. You have 15 seconds. They go 1 Looney Tunes, 2 Looney Tunes, and all the way to 15 Looney Tunes. And if you can't slide it under the door without knocking the door before that time, you must go back to start or the nearest bowling ball. So in this case, this is extremely hard, honestly, and once you've slid under, your next turn you actually remold it, and it has these cool little plastic headpieces in it for like Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, Wile E. Coyote, and Sylvester, which I do very much enjoy. I think it's a cool way to kind of create the character visually without relying on the shape of the Play-Doh to kind of explain who is who that you're playing as. Obviously you have different colors, but it's still kind of nice to know who your character is, and that's a solid resolution for that. Now on your next turn, you remold that character and you are rolling to kind of move through, and there are a few different things that can happen to you. If you land on like one of the anchor, safes, or the railroad symbols, then you take that coinciding plastic piece and smush down that character, and it has the cool stars and stuff for kind of added effect. Then on your next turn, you remold it at the nearest bowling ball, which are like checkpoints. Now if you land on the bowling ball spot perfectly on your turn, then you get to take your little headpiece off, roll it into a ball, and knock down the alien pins, which is 5 of the Martians, with Marvin Martian right in the front. I do very much enjoy this part because it's a lot harder than it looks. Rolling Play-Doh, sometimes it can get a little bit of friction to where it's really hard to kind of roll that bowling ball down kind of the table, because the board has a little bit of a section to where the pins will go and how far you need to be. Trying to flick it too hard, it actually can bounce over the pins, so it is a little bit tricky to get used to, but it is very fun, and I do very much like this one. The other way, or the kind of other added element of the game, is the Yosemite Sam spinner piece. Now, the spinner piece doesn't work that well, I'll be honest with you. I feel like the bottom piece was so kind of stuck against the board that it really was hard to spin, and with the board landing on top of it, it kind of creates it as like a stopper. So what I ended up doing halfway through the game was removing it from the Yosemite Sam spinner piece. Now, the spinner piece doesn't work that well, I'll be honest with you. I feel like the bottom piece was so kind of stuck against the board that it really was hard to spin, and with the board landing on top of it, it kind of creates it as like a stopper. So what I ended up doing halfway through the game was removing it from the board, putting that piece on the bottom, having it on top of the board and spinning it that way. It goes a little bit around on the board, but it spins a lot better. And the goal is to either have the you got away symbol where he misses, or he's gotcha and it smushes you down and you go back to the nearest bowling ball. I think this one is a little bit more chaotic. I think there's two spots, one more dangerous, one that's a little bit more safe and longer, but I'm going to be honest with you, with that die potentially rolling a high number, you most likely will always go through the short way because you probably won't land on any of them. Now, the game itself, I do find it enjoyable. I do love Looney Tunes, so it's really hard for me to find flaws in it for the theme alone, but I'll be honest, it isn't my favorite Play-Doh game. I actually do want to rework some of the rules to see if I can find a better way to enjoy the game, because I think there are a lot of good elements in the game. It's just they weren't executed that well. That pushing under the door part is a little bit hard. You almost find yourself kind of using your hand to hold up the door anyway, and with some of the other pieces to the game, I think it would have been more satisfying to have it continue the same method as some of the other games where your piece stays onto the board and there aren't checkpoints, you just skip over them. I also think that kind of cleaning up some of the danger zones would be a little bit better, because it seems like there's danger everywhere on this board, and while it can be funny, it's a bit excessive. I almost wish there were cards much like the previous games to kind of smush down and control things that way. And I do love the bowling aspect. I love the even spinning aspect idea. I just don't think it was executed as well as I wanted it to be in comparison to the other Play-Doh games that I am a big fan of. Now, while I don't say I would recommend this game per se, I think there is a game hidden in here somewhere. Now, if you find a good deal for this game, I highly recommend it. I actually paid $30 for this. It's a little bit higher than some of the other vintage games I've purchased on myself, but I did get it sealed. I actually released a video, kind of an unboxing. I'll leave a link in the description because I was very much satisfied with getting it there, and I feel like it might be cool moving forward to do some unboxings for vintage games. Now, if I do any unboxing for anything other than a vintage game, it may be a newer game that has come out recently, and I think people might enjoy watching that, and there's cool pieces in it. But outside of that, if I do an unboxing, it's going to be random on like a Tuesday or something, and I will release it ahead of time prior to either a review, or if I feel like it's an unboxing that needs to be put out immediately, I'll do that too, because I don't get every vintage game sealed, but I get a large amount sealed, and I have recorded a few unboxings thus far, just haven't released them because the review isn't up yet. But honestly, that's all I have for you guys today. If you are interested in notifications for my new videos, there is a bell up there somewhere. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I do appreciate any feedback. I'm trying to make these videos more and more outrageous, and with your guys' help, I have been doing so. Monday, regular board game reviews. Wednesday, weekly updates / talks. And then on Friday is my vintage board game reviews. That is all I have for you guys today. I will see you guys next time.